it's interesting. You build one boat, and you think, man, that's a good boat. When you get down, when you finish, and you turn around, and you're looking backwards, and then naturally somebody comes and pushes you harder, and you build another one, and then wow, you're like, that one's the best. And so, but Uptight was that one that they just really pushed us really hard to get every little thing right. And there is something special when you get to do a boat right behind another one that you just did, and it's still fresh in the brain. You learn a lot on that first one that you kind of work with.
And how did it start out? Like, what was the origin story?
Too much alcohol.
Really? Okay.
Says if God wanted us to have fiberglass boats, he would have given us fiberglass trees.
It's for fishermen. It's not for taking the wife and the wife's friends.
I think that it's a really, really pretty boat.
And then there was a blur that went by and ended up in the cockpit, as far as if I can remember correctly.
All right, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome to the State of Sport Fishing podcast. I'm Nick Carullo. I'm joined with Anthony Pino from Hooked Optics and the captain of the Blood Money. We meet every Tuesday. We're joined by a captain, mate, boat builder, or owner in the industry discussing different techniques and skill sets around the world. Before I welcome our guests, I would like to remind you that we don't make any money off this. We don't run ads. All we ask is that if this podcast brought you any value in any way, do us a solid and share this podcast with a friend. And now I'm going to welcome our guest, Tim Winters, Winter Custom Yachts out of North Carolina, probably one of the younger boat builders in the game right now, and probably at the top of his game. Just rolled out the bougie, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey guys, Nick. Thanks for having me here. I'm Tim Winters at Winter Custom Yachts, and looking forward to to really represent me and the company. Me and my background. I come from a little different angle. I come from the boat building side, for more the technical aspect. And I didn't grow up down on the docks per se. I was not from a charter boat family or a fishing family, but I grew up with a strong passion for boats and boat building. And I did come from a line of craftsmen and carpenters and all of that. But the one thing growing up here in Eastern North Carolina, I always shared and had a passion for boats. I mean, we grew up around Carolina boats, but I would say that, just getting in, being in this area, loving the boats from a very, very early age. I knew I wanted to be a boat builder, and, I've had the opportunity to have great clients who have given me the opportunity to build these boats. And, here we are today, with the boats that we built. You look at the 63 that we just delivered. I love what I do each and every day, and excited to kind of see where we go. But as far as Winter Custom Yachts and what this company is and what it represents, we're trying to do something different. I do believe we're sitting in a good place. We've been in business now for going on 18 years, and when you look at the industry and you look at kind of what's going on, there's an opportunity to branch out and do some different stuff. Our industry kind of as a whole, we do kind of tend to, build the same thing. We got a very specific driven course of what we're trying to do. But I do believe we can always build a better mousetrap. And, my intentions are to continue to push that envelope and do something different. When you see a winter boat from here on out, I want it to look like something special, something different, and kind of break that industry mold of what you've seen. And I think we've started, dabbling a little bit of that, and we've got some exciting stuff coming. But anyway, Nick, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
And, glad to be here.
We're happy to have you. Talk to us. Let's talk. Bougie just came out. It's all over Instagram. It's all over social media. I think it's catching an eye with everybody. Talk to us about that build.
Well, Bougie is an interesting boat for us. It's been in production for a little bit of time. We started that boat a little over, actually right at 3 years ago. That boat Had been through one other owner. The original owner was going to take it to Costa Rica, really focus on fad fishing. It started out as kind of one direction, ended up as another, as the nature of this industry kind of goes, you know. But when this new crowd came in, they kind of picked up the piece exactly where it was at. They wanted to kind of keep the same scenario, know that it was going to head to the Pacific, know that it was going to fad fish, know that they want to do some extensive traveling. But if you rewind back to the beginning of that boat was kind of at a place where I was super frustrated, I would say, a little bit at some of the boats that I had been building. I just felt like we could build a better and prettier boat. You know, some of the boats were, and I love my boat. I'm not saying I don't love them, but I just felt like when you look down the dock and you walk the dock, maybe you're at Pirates Cove or you're at Big Rock or wherever you're at, you walk and you say, you know, what sets a boat apart? You know, what details? Because if you walk down the dock with somebody who knows nothing about our industry, they all say they kind of, you know, and that's a little bit frustrating to us. You guys, we all know, we know if it's a king, a carrot baker, a Spencer, or a Weaver. We know that because we study the details. But you know, I keep getting hung up on, you know, what can definitely stand apart, and we thought about, you know, what are some of the things that we could do better to build a better boat, and maybe solve some of the simple issues. So, you know, in that spiral of trying to figure out, you know, what does a winter boat look like, we came up with a new bridge layout, and that bridge layout was kind of focused on, we were courting a handful of clients that all had Viking boats. And the one thing about the Viking boats is they're pretty and they do a nice job with their boat. But the one thing that I always got kind of hammered on was the size of our bridges. That the bridge in that area was small, and it was the one thing that you kind of had them until you went there, and it's, wow, this is tight. So I thought, you know, maybe we can fix that a little. Maybe we can make that a little bit better. So we started by looking at how we coincide the exterior of the Dodger, what we call the Dodger, the exterior bridge, and coincide the surfaces with the exterior of the cabin. And we started playing with that in the computer, just trying to streamline, maybe, you know, from an aerodynamic standpoint, make it a lot sleeker, a lot cleaner look. And that was the beginning. That was like, how do we come up with something that still looks like a boat that we all love and accept, but at the same time, you know, put a little new twist on it. And so that's what we did. And Bougie features, you know, the bridge. It's a wider bridge. We picked up about 10 inches up there just because we extended the bridge wings out to the sides of the cabin and to the front. And then we incorporated a blind handhold / water gutter feature that would actually capture the water coming off the bridge. We got a drainage system in the back corner that drains it down into the cockpit. So that cabin feature, the styling, is definitely the new look, and it's a departure for us, and that's one thing that Bougie has on her. Everything else was bits and pieces from a boat that we've already built. The hull on Bougie was taken from our hull 23, which was a 65 Express, and that boat ran really, really well. It was efficient. That boat had 1550 mans in it at a 3/4 load. It would cruise 30 knots, burning less than 100 gallons an hour. And I mean, that was just exceptional for a 65-foot boat. That boat weighed about 88,000 pounds. So even though it was an open express boat, it had a lot in it. It was still a decently heavy boat, you know, when she was per load. But that hull pushed really well for us. It was dry. It was a good running boat across the board. So we grabbed that hull and we shanked her down a little bit, and kept pretty much everything I did. Same with that one. But the cockpit, just kind of moving on through there, is pretty much our same overall dimensions. We just worked on a lot of the styling. You know, when you look at the mezzanine, the actual mezzanine face, we built the mezzanine in this boat a little bit taller to increase some of the storage space. We actually lost a little storage space because we increased the size of the fuel tanks. This boat originally was to carry 1,850 gallons, so the fuel tanks come up into the mezzanine some, and to accommodate that additional fuel, we built the mezzanine a little taller, which actually at the end of the day turned out really nice. It is a little bit more of a step, but the vantage point when you're sitting up on the med, it lays out nice, good layout. But just our more typical, I'm all about curves. I'm all about, seems like making things as difficult as possible to build. And that's just kind of what, where we like to be. Everything's got toe kicks integrated. The faces of the mezzanine and all the cabinetry, not only does it have the toe kicks everywhere, we incorporated a 3-inch radius and everything just to soften up all the lines throughout. And as far as the mezzanine still goes, it's got teak covering boards, all genuine teak throughout. And today with the faux teak, I'm fully embraced faux teak across the board. Love it. I haven't been the hugest fan on faux teak if I can get my face. So everything on that boat is genuine if I can come up and, maybe get 14, 15 inches from it on a daily basis. And I know would be some pushback on that. Guys, I don't want it. I don't want the maintenance or whatever. And I definitely understand that. But, my theory on the faux teak is it's got to fool me. It's got to do a really good job. And, the toe rails, the transoms, the cabin molding, those are really great places for the faux. But you'll see Bougie has a lot of genuine teak throughout it that kind of follows the same.
Is the transom all teak, regular genuine teak, or is that faux?
No, it's faux. The transom, the toe rail, and the cabin molding in that boat are faux. But like the salon door, and you'll see it's got a lot of teak accents in the bridge and all.
Anything you're really gonna get up close on and look at it is pretty much.
Yeah.
I got you. Nice.
Yep. So that's mostly the exterior, and the interior on that boat is good. Basically, we borrowed that back from hull 23 again. It's got the quarter sawn walnut interior with a horizontal place grain, which looks really sharp. And it's bougie in every sense of the word. It's a little over the top, but that was the intention. There's lots of leather accents throughout, glass accents throughout. Just it's a well-developed interior that's definitely more trending to the yachty side of things.
Yeah, it's a beaut. What do you think of it, Anthony?
I'm just looking at it right now. I mean, I like it. I'm looking at I didn't really look at it too hard just on your page, Tim, but I'm looking at it, and you when the bridge getting out to the end there, or to the end of the house like that. I think that's really interesting for a custom Carolina boat. It's definitely a different change that I'll be curious to see how it was received. I feel like you pulled it off pretty well, but I mean, I'll be curious to see what other people's opinions about it are.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because one of the first people that saw it was Drew at Palm Beach Towers, and when he came in the shop, he was like, "Man, that's it." He felt like we pulled it off, and I was kind of self-conscious about it, to be honest with you, because I felt like we could do it. We could come up with a good look. And what I was really looking for is, it's amazing how many years we built these Carolina boats, and you look at their hulls, and they're full of these beautiful curves, and they got tumble hone and flare, and they got these really nice transitions between the two on the hull. And then you look at the superstructure from the side and profile, they look great. They're like, wow, they're swept back, they're curvy. But then if you're sitting behind the boat, maybe 30 foot, like a quartering angle, and you catch the cabin and the bridge, and you can see how they're built, right? And it's not a monolithic structure anymore. It's like, oh, it's this on top of that on top of that.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think the cool thing about Bougie is it ties it all together. There's that really large radius on the front of the cabin to the foredeck that's swept way out. That really looks good. And just the idea of we can do curves everywhere, so on the hull and everything else is really incorporated into the top sides, and that's what we try to do.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's very interesting. How do you I think as they go, I'm looking at this. There's just these big flat surfaces on the side of the boat. As the boat ages, how do you combat the fairing compound and the composites moving around a little bit and creating? I'm feeling like as we get more and more detailed, as we move as the industry accelerates, like it is, the level of detail that goes into something like that is like mind numbing. I'd just be curious to see if you had anything that you would combat that sort of movement that you see in custom boats, if you know what I mean. Because that's like a beautiful flat surface right there. I think it'd probably be a challenge, you know.
It's a constant challenge, and I don't know that anybody truly has it figured out completely. I think we all have our own cocktail of what we think is the best. I know that age and time fixes a lot. It shows a lot. So the sooner that we can get a structure built and get it in the sun, the better off we are.
Yeah.
Anytime we can get a cabin built, take it out, and paint it black and leave it in the sun and let it go ahead and do what it's going to do, that definitely helps. But definitely all our topsides are core material, using high temp resins across the board, and then post curing. That's a good place to start. What we have found is, on our mask and everything else, we top coat with the light color paint, cloud white, across the board. And that does seem to help us. The last couple boats, we haven't really dealt with much print through, just because we have probably shot them twice before they actually left the shop. And I think just getting enough product in them. I do see some of our stuff that comes out of a tool that doesn't have as much product. When I mean product, the fairing systems as some of the other stuff. The stuff without the fairing systems definitely prints a lot harder and prints more. But it's all a give and take. But for sure, the post curing process is something that 10, 12 years ago we just skipped right over because we just didn't quite. We didn't really have the budgets and we didn't have the time. Yeah. But nowadays it's kind of boilerplate. You have to.
Yeah, it just I'm sure at that point, like, it wasn't something that people were really like owners were concerned about, but like, down the road, you're looking at like the boat I work on now, I can see it that it's printed through, it's our boat's 20 years old, almost 20 years old. So it's like, it's, you see that, and it's always going to be a thing. And I'm like, man, how could I combat this as when we get a new paint job,
Yeah. Well, I will definitely say one thing that we have learned is adding more glass. We're putting more glass on everything than we have in the past. And then dissimilar materials. I mean, how many boats you see the aluminum backing plate coming through the side of the cabin from the outrigger? All of those dissimilar materials is something to pay close attention to. And specifically, when you got a core structure and whatever fastener you use to put it together, rather than just packing all that stuff out with a different density, maybe instead of just putting glue in there and putting fiberglass over the top, we have seen it be very helpful to fill it with a similar product, whether it's Gorilla Glue or something of that nature, just so that, as that epoxy cures over time and it shrinks and everything's shrinking onto that core, there's not something harder than the other to show that.
I got you. It makes sense. And then just talk to us about, like, is the hull wooden? Are you a full composite guy? Or you do the like a wood hull guy? Or I mean, we talked to John Floyd, and he's very adamant about the wood hull, and I got Duffy here, and he's still very out in Ocean City here, and he's still very adamant about a wood hull. What's your opinion on that? Or you just do what the customer asks?
Well, I think there's a fine line between why people feel comfortable with the wood hulls. I definitely understand where they're coming from. I came into this industry, like I said in the beginning, not from a fishing aspect, but I'm an engineer by trade. And so, I kind of want to understand, why is the wood hull versus better than a composite hull? And, it's not good enough sometimes for me just for somebody to say it, right? And so I know for a fact that we can engineer a composite hull and it can have the same characteristics or similar characteristics of wood hull if it's engineered properly. To answer your question, I am not a wood hull guy across the board. I think there's certain applications that a composite hull makes a lot of sense. If you've got a boat that you're trying to push that envelope, and the only way that you develop speed is by building it lighter. I mean, it's great that we got new horsepower out, and we keep throwing horsepower at it, but at some time you have to, address the elephant in the room, and you got to build boats lighter. And quite frankly, there's nothing being done today from the customer aspect to help us do that. Right? They want to stick Seakeepers in it. Now you didn't just need. Now you can't just have a water maker. Now you got to have a spot zero. Now you just can't have this or that. Everything's doubled across the board. So when you're thinking about a boat, and when somebody comes to present you with something that they want, right? Like hole 38. Hole 36 is a new 66, and this client came to us with a very specific parameter. It has to be a 50 knot boat. And to be honest with you, how many people try to build a 50 knot boat? I mean, it's a lot. Yeah. Everybody wants to build a 50 knot boat, right? I mean, if you look at the guys at F&S, they built that express boat that had a pair of 2600s in it, I think. And that boat was up there. I heard it was over 50 knots, but there's this elusive 50 number that we all try and chase nowadays. And how do you get there? I think it's with a composite boat. My 36 will be a complete composite boat.
I got you. How big is that one you said?
It's a 66.
Oh, wow. Gotcha.
Bougie's wood, right, Tim?
That's right. Yeah. And I think, there's definitely no question that a wood hull rides different, sounds different. The two is no comparison. And to be honest with you, if Tim Winters is building the boat for Tim Winters, it's going to be a cold boy. I'm emphatic about that. I really like the boat. I like the strength in it. I like every characteristic about it. But if you can't expect to do something that hasn't been done by doing the same thing over and over. I'm all about shaking things up and switch deposit holding there.
Yeah.
And we have done several other composite boats in the past.
Yeah.
But this one's coming from a different view.
What is the hull material? Just your regular Divinyl close cell core typically, or do you go with something a little bit different?
No, it'll be in that same family. You can go Divinyl or Baltec or whichever core you decide to go with. But the key is getting the right density. Our bottoms will be 2-inch thick in that boat, 1-inch thick on the hull sides. Ample glass to build a structure there that will hold up wherever you put it.
Cool.
Yeah, the unique thing about this boat we're designing now, what we're trying to do is do something very much different than what we've done. This boat's got V drives in it. It'll have the wake adapted struts and running gear and everything that I got in my quiver to throw at it to make her faster. And
then I assume you use the same CFD software now instead of doing tank testing and stuff like that.
The CFD makes so much sense. It's an economical way to give you a really good indication of where you're at. CFD is no good if you don't have that database of your own boats, which we have been doing CFD on a handful of our boats for a while now. So there's a real good understanding where we know what CFD can give us. It's great that we have done CFD on a lot of the boats that we've actually run now. And it's interesting to compare the two. You do all this CFD, you do all the design, how accurate. You don't know. That's the problem with us. It takes forever to build. Right? We can make all these cool changes in the shed and think we've done something great, and then we got to wait years sometimes until we actually can come to fruition. But the CFD is definitely a great way for you to try and do something different and get a good understanding on the way it is. The key for us right now in the future of every boat that we build is getting a boat that's going to hold speed and feel good at speed. So it's one thing to go 47 knots straight. I don't want to go 47 knots straight. I'd rather go 47 knots straight and have her perform and know that no matter whoever's driving it, running it, whatever, it's a safe boat and it performs well at every speed it's capable.
Yeah. For people that don't know, the CFD stands for Computational Fluid Dynamics, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And that's basically like a simulator for a ideally not a rough simulation, but a computer program that can simulate what the boat may or may not do. And like you said, how does that stuff compare to what it like in your past builds? Has it been pretty accurate for you, or is it in the ballpark, or is it dead on?
I think CFD is nothing but a visual to all the analytical and theoretical that you've been put together, right? You put all these numbers together, you draw all these lines and curves, and you think, and the CFD just kind of like puts it in action.
I gotcha.
And so, to answer your question, yeah, it's been pretty close. I mean, our experience is that the trim angles in CFD tend to run a little higher than they do in real life. You know, I will tell you, you know, several years ago, I was all about the way that trim angle was and getting my bow up higher. But what we've learned and what we know about the boats and how we get the most speed out of them is getting them flatter. You know, we got to get the attack angle flatter across the board.
I did notice that because I see a lot of people, like, I think Spencer is very, very famous, I guess famous for having a really high bow. I run a 64 case in the, which was originally the Blue Dog. I'm sure you've seen it around. Yeah. And it runs very, very flat. And I thought, you know, I'd never seen the boat out before I ran it. And I just felt like it was running flat. And I kept on trying to trim it up and get it up in the nose higher, and then it would just never work. So it's really interesting because the boat full of fuel and with just a normal day as a fishing, full of traveling fuel or a normal day of fishing really the performance numbers don't really change. And I've noticed that my boat runs a lot flatter than a lot of boats that I see. I wouldn't say that our boat's a high performance boat anymore. I think there was a time when it was, but you know, I think the times have passed it by now. But to see all these other high performance boats go blowing by me with their bows way up in the air, it's really interesting. And my boat just runs very flat. And it's really interesting you say that, you know, the angle of attack needs to be a lot more flat.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, that's where we find the speed, and we're the whole reason. Like on the next boat, we're going V drives just because we're trying to find that balance. We're trying to find the ability for that boat to run a little bit flatter, but obviously we don't want to be pushing water. Yeah. So it's got a completely different bottom up under it to compensate for that boat to run flatter.
Is you're using the V drives to try and even get it even more flat shaft angle? Is that why you're going with that?
So the V drives take us our standard, like on Bougie. I'll tell you, Bougie is without a doubt one of the best running boats we've ever built. I mean, I love every aspect of her running characteristics. Right now, we're talking.
We should explain the V drives, which is basically you turn the engine around, right?
Right. So a V drive there's a lot of I hear a lot of people talk to me and push back to me on the V drives, but I can tell you that a V drive is just a transmission, and all I'm doing is separating the transmission from the engine, and we're going to install a jack shaft between it. It's going to be 28 inches, and we're running the shaft under the engine. Versus being coupled to the back of the transmission, right? So, you know, when you walk in the engine room, the engines are going to look backwards, and they're going to be soft mounted to the boat. They will not be hard mounted. So naturally, if these engines, these power plants are not hard mounted to the boat, they're soft, you're going to have less vibration. You know, when you have the V drive that's mounted, the bow, there's joints in there that allow all that to be flexible and move. And you know, the idea with the V drive is to go out. We're going after shaft angle. Shaft angle on this boat is going to be around 6.4 degrees, 6.5 degrees in that area. You know, that's typical standard. Boat that we build with a regular drive, non-V drive boat would be in the 9.5 to 10 degrees. That's kind of what shaft angle is important when you're looking at speed, especially, you get in the higher end of the 40 knots, because just like your boat, I'm sure you can attest to, the faster you go, the more that bow goes down. If you already got a boat that's running flat, it's going to naturally just keep going over and over and over.
Yeah.
There's a certain point that you increase that wetted surface area on the boat, and you just can't go any faster. And so the idea is with the lower shaft angle, you're not going to have the force pushing your bow down as much. There's going to be a point where, that boat actually, the lift, overpowers that force pushing down and allows it just to keep the running attack angle that we want. So now a flat boat, a boat that's running flat, just is not going to steer as well as a boat that's got a higher attack angle. And that's what I'm after. Not just a boat that, like I say, it's going to go straight and fast. We want a boat that's going to perform and handle, just like it does at 33 knots. That's the idea. But, I have heard lately, because it seems to be a lot of pushback on the V drives and just casually talking about people, folks, they say, well, you're going to lose horsepower. You're losing horsepower. You're not going to lose horsepower because it's no different of a transmission than it is than your regular transmission you have now. So there's no loss of horsepower. Honestly, if you actually weigh the pros and cons, I can't find any, and the pros are all there. The only cons you could possibly add is money, and obviously, you're going to have shafts that go from 16 feet, approach 5 feet now, so that's worth noted. And then you've got a jack shaft. So, but outside of that,
is that something you wanted to do with this boat, or is that what the original owner wanted to do?
Well, and the whole idea, what happened was we originally designed the boat, but this boat particularly is being designed around the C32Bs at 2400. And when we first ran the numbers and we're trying to understand what this boat could do, we knew we wanted to try and achieve a boat to do 50 knots. Well, right out of the gate, to achieve 50 knots on a 65, 66 foot boat, the boat's going to have to weigh about 75 to 77,000 pounds. And that's just not realistic. We just don't think that we can build a boat that light that I would be comfortable with, at that weight. So then the next thing you do is you start looking at things to, how do we effectively keep, and there's no question that if you're going for speed and we've got some extra budget to play with, that V drives can help us. And then the wake adapted running gear and all that's associated with that, can help. So that, when you look at this boat and what we're trying to do, we're trying to build a boat that's going to be in the upper 80,000 pound range. Realistic, upper 80,000 pound boat. And then you couple, those two things we talked about, V drives and wake adapted running gear. We think that's what's going to push us from a, 47, 48 knot boat.
Nice. All right. What, enough about bougie. What, besides current to date, what's been your favorite boat besides bougie?
And Hull 23 was a 65 Express. It's called First Love. And that was a super cool boat for us because, the gentleman we built that for was Anthony Johnson, and he had I believe a 52 Cabo. Does that make sense? Is there a 52 Cabo?
Yeah.
So he had a 52 Cabo, and he came to us and talked about how much he loved the day boat arrangement. And we originally started at a 60 foot, express boat. And that was, it was a cool concept. I was always about building a day boat. We built a handful of them, nothing near that size. But, he kind of threw it at us. He's like, I want 3 staterooms. He talked about all the accommodations he wanted and everything else. And naturally, the boat kept growing, and we had really pushed out into a boat that you really just hadn't seen. And then he actually, I don't know if he saw or, we all obviously had known about Lyman Morris built a 65 called the Ring Power. I believe it was Ring Power. Not the Ring Power. It was the, what boat I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, Lyman Morris built that 65 Express, and that boat was designed by Robert Oldberg. And we kind of honed in on that, and it was like, well, that's what we want to do. We just want a completely different arrangement and layout across the board. So, that boat had so many challenges to it. He wanted incredible visibility from the helm, which you wouldn't believe how good you can see. I swear to you, it's as good as any convertible there is out there. He wanted a boat that he could entertain 15, 16 people on. A lot of crazy outside parameters that what we thought at the time, but I really like that boat because it was a departure. It was something very different. There wasn't anything really like it out there, and it gave us the ability to kind of stretch our legs and try some different things in that one.
Yeah, that boat's beautiful. I got the pleasure to run that boat with you, so that was a beautiful boat.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That was good. I know we mentioned it earlier, but I want to bring back the power of social media and your thought on that and what it's been doing to the industry.
Man, social media, it's a love-hate. It's a love-hate. I have been the brunt of the successes and a lot of the negative on social media. It's a tool that has been very good for us. It's interesting to know how much business we generate that comes from Instagram, Facebook, and whatnot. I know with the world that we live in now, things with TikTok and everything's taken off. I don't know if I'm ready to handle all that. I'm gonna have to bring somebody and help us, but I've been the one, behind my phone and posting to get us, kind of at this point. And we got some help here that's also that's done that as well. But it's really incredible to just be somewhere and be sitting on a dock or whatnot, and somebody walk up, and more than likely it's sometimes it could be a 8 to 9 year old kid, or it's somebody older or whatever, and they're like, oh man, I saw your feed, and to hear them talk about the product, and they know it just as well as I do. It's a window into our world of everything. It's the highlight reel, and it sure does make our industry look pretty romantic from the outside in. It's it's like this is a dream job. These guys, they ride around on amazing boats and do these amazing things, but it truly is just a highlight reel.
Oh yeah, they don't show the bad stuff.
No, but it's one of those things that I'm glad we got in early. We've had a great following on our product and on our brand, and I'm grateful for all the people that plug in on Instagram.
Yeah.
Literally, I can contribute almost every single boat sale that we generate today back to either Facebook or Instagram. It's just amazing how it's shrank our world. So
it's pretty cool, and I think it gives people an insight and a connection to, a lot of people. The majority of people either are never going to own a boat, or in some aspects never even get to work on or ride on a boat like that, but they still have a chance to appreciate it. And I think that's an interesting thing, I think it's great because I just think that people get the chance to appreciate something that they may never actually get to fully appreciate it, but they at least get to see it and kind of follow a lot of these boats on their journeys and wherever they go, from coming out of your shop into wherever they may end up,
Yeah, there's a lot of different sides to it, right? There's, you got to figure most people are never, I would say most people are going to buy boats, right?
Yeah.
So, and the messages that you get, it's incredible. Like even like I love the younger folks. Like I was a kid dreaming about being a boat builder one day, right? And that seemed like it wasn't that long ago, and there wasn't a place I could go and like plug in and learn and see. But
you can only read the same Marlin magazine, 20 or 30 times, like we probably did when we were kids.
Yeah, and to now have Instagram and Facebook, and should be somebody younger or whatever, anybody trying to get in our industry. You got a direct link to me. You got a direct link to these companies, and you can learn and see so much. It's an incredible tool, and if you can harness it and use it for the good. Then
nice. Tim, you're fairly young for being a boat builder. Who would you say, when you were in your younger years, who was maybe some inspiration to you?
Man, we're fortunate to have so many amazing boat builders, right? It's a small family of guys out there that, from top to bottom, who have that have all influenced me in some form or fashion. I can't help but talk about Roy Merritt, he's a good friend, dear friend of mine. I mean, to have guys like him that literally just take you up on your wing, and you know, you could be just driving in the pickup truck, call Roy up and pick his brain about a boat. He's just as fired up today as ever, you know, about building a boat. And you know, just God, I mean, that's so awesome to have that kind of relationship. But you know, going up here, Eastern North Carolina, I mean, Randy Ramsey's been the pioneer of you know, of the southern end of the Outer Banks of boat building, and that's where I just so happened to grow up at. And you know, being a kid and having my parents take me over to Jarrett Bay, and actually, I'll never forget. One day we drove over there, and they had the 68-foot Adero that was sitting behind the fence, and I remember thinking, you know, just like that boat is amazing. Everything about it. You know, I thought everything was great about it, and you know, just dreaming. I was like, that's what I want. You know, I want to build boats just like that. And so, you know, guys like Randy have been so great. I mean, they're so. I mean, just to watch, you know, their businesses grow and what they've done. I gotta give a shout out to Jamie Chapman, and not everybody knows so much about Jamie, maybe they do. But you know, Jamie's a down east Harkers Island boat builder, and he is just a gifted person. And I learned so much getting to work with him and in and around his boats. I also worked around Jim Luxton. He was one of the co-founders of Jarrett Bay. He was just a brilliant mind, and I got him on the back end of his career, and he gave me a lot of pointers and you know, taught me a lot. We built a couple 58s down in Wilmington when I was in school, actually down there, and on some other projects. But and I mean, it's such a good community. You know, really, honestly, across the board, it's competitive, which I like it. I mean, it's unspoken, but it's extremely competitive, and I'm sure that everybody, you know, is ultimately trying to outdo the other one and go a little faster and be a little prettier and be a little better. But that's what I love. I love that. I love the drive that's behind their industry.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, there's so many good builders now, and it's amazing to be able to follow so many different builds now on social media, and it's amazing, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's you know, everybody's got their little touch. You know, each boat's got its own identity. Just to go back to like what I was saying earlier, you know, I mean, each guy's got his little flair, you know, and it took me a while to find out, you know, what made a winter boat a winter boat.
Yeah. And
I feel like we're starting to fall into that and understand, and you know, getting started early. I've never been afraid to try something. I built a lot of different boats kind of along the way, whether it's flats boats or bay boats or center consoles, or went on the whole pod journey to convertibles and express boats and walk arounds, and it's been fun. But now we're getting to a place to where we know what our boats look like. We know what size ranges are efficient and good boat to build, and it's a good place to be, kind of where we're set.
Nice. Let's talk a little about the Uptight. I know that was probably one of the crowd favorites on social media. I mean, that was a neck breaker. I mean, it's down here in Miami. You know, I've seen it. I've been on it. It's beautiful. And I know you said I think you're rolling out with another one, probably pretty similar to it.
Yeah. So Hole 37 is another 46 walk around, which is basically the spinoff of Uptight. And Uptight was a spinoff of another 46 walk around built called Family Circus, which is now, she just actually left our yard. It's now called Karma, and it lives in Lighthouse Point. And we just did a whole bunch of work with it. But Uptight was another one of those special builds. You know, you had, you know, clients who really wanted to do something unique and special, and they had saw what we had done before in Family Circus, and you know, that was a really great boat. I say Family Circus, I'll call it Karma. And they saw what was there, and that boat had really good bones, and they just wanted to take it to the next level. You know, the attention to detail is what sets all these boats apart. And And, you know, these guys, you know, it's interesting. You build one boat and, you know, you think, man, that's a good boat. When you get down, when you finish and you turn around and you're looking backwards, and then, you know, naturally somebody comes and pushes you harder and you build another one. And then, wow, you're like, that one's the best one. And so, but Uptight was that one that they just really pushed us really hard to get every little thing right. And there is something, you know, special when you get to do a boat right behind another one that you just did, and it's still fresh in the brain. You learn a lot on that first one. That you kind of work the kinks out in the second one, and you know, tell them, but the third one will be better. That's just the way it goes. But Uptight had the C12.9 1000 cast, and that's a really nice power package for that boat. It gives you a really nice cruise, and you know, but it naturally got everything that a 60 convertible gets nowadays. I mean, from spot zero to water maker to ice refrigeration. The only thing it doesn't have is 2 generators, but other than that, you know, it's got everything. And
is that a pod boat, or is it just a regular shaft boat?
No, that's a conventional inboard.
I got you, Nick. Would you say that is like in the Miami scene there? That sort of is the kind of boat that is going to start to be the type of boat that you need to have to compete. You know how you have the walk around capabilities to do that, and then but you don't have to get around the outboards like you would on like a center, like a Contender or something like that. What's your opinion about that?
Yeah, I think that's just where we're coming to now, where the industry down here is, you know, moving towards. Just the platform it's just the best platform you could ask for. You know, kite fishing, sail fishing. You know what we do down here. I mean, Uptight, and then, you know, the Showtime that I'm on, the Release, which is a very, very similar, you know, platform. And then, which I know Tim said now the Karma is in Lighthouse Point. You know, I don't know the owners of that boat, but I assume they're probably gonna start doing some sail fishing, Tim.
Yeah, you'll see it out there. She's still the same color, just updated name, so you'll recognize the boat.
All right, cool. Yeah, I mean I mean, you're starting to see more and more. I mean, like you said, I know you got another one, I think, coming down to Miami. I know Release has another one coming down to Miami. I mean, they're just, you know, you get the comfort, you know, of a big boat, but you still have kind of the speed and the maneuverability of a center console. So it's,
and the fish, you gotta, I guess it's really advantageous to be able to fish around the whole boat like that, kite fishing, so you don't have to unwrap your kites every time, you know.
Oh yeah. And then you know, when you get multiple hookups, guys are running around the boat without, you know, someone going onto the bow onto a big sport fish, which can be dangerous sometimes when it's super rough. So
yeah, it's actually for us, it's super exciting. Hole 38 and possibly 39, 63 convertible walkarounds. So I'm anxious to put that spin on it, because the walk around open boats, obviously we've done a handful of those and love everything about them, but there is some loss of fishability unless you sit in the tower all day. The visibility when you're up inside there, especially when you're hooked on a fish, can be a little more difficult when you're having to look through the curtains and all of that. Now, obviously, you guys down there in Florida, you guys sit in the towers all day. I don't know. Sitting in the tower all day like you, Nick, but that's where we got a couple 63 Walker and convertibles on the books, and we're in the design phase right now, and that should be really unique. You know, I know you guys got one down there, and I know Release is getting ready to come out with, what is it, a 55?
Yeah, and that's coming down to Miami too. Yeah. So Fort Lauderdale, I think.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting.
So that's going to be 63 feet, Tim?
63, yeah.
That'll be cool, man.
Yeah.
It'll be kind of like the only other boat I've ever seen like that big is probably that Country Girl out of Oregon Inlet, the old charter boat. You know, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's a pretty cool, concept for. But I remember seeing that thing when I was much younger, walking down there in the docks, and to see us to be able to put our touch on that style. When you think about boats that are left to be built, boy, that's one that just really hasn't been toured a whole lot. That's new territory there.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how that ends up, and how if you're able to grab leaders off the bow. I mean, that's really going to be a game changer, for the sailfish guys down here. I mean, that's going to be a huge game changer.
Well, yeah, I mean, they have to be light. They have to be light, and they have to be lower profile. We're finishing up a new 53 Express right now, and we were staring at it today, just thinking, man, would that be a good walk around boat or not? But it's a higher profile boat than what you typically see me build. And how big of a deal is it in your mind to be able to grab leaders from the bow? Is that a deal breaker for you, or is that something you can work around?
I mean, it's just what's the word, just the power to be able to grab leaders on the bow while guys are still fishing off the back, and you don't have to back up to the fish. It's so crucial. I mean, that's kind of why the center consoles, before these walkarounds kind of, came around. That's why the center consoles have kind of been able to keep up with, a lot of the custom boats and big boats, even though, we get our asses handed to us when it's rough, but, we're able to fish the kites out of the back of the boat, keep pushing, have your angler off the bow, push towards that fish while everyone fishing off the back, creating multiple hookups versus when you're on a big boat, that's not a walk around. They spin the whole boat around, your lines get wrapped around the tower, and then you're pounding up sea, backing on your fish. And for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or sometimes longer, basically your entire spread is basically non-existent. So, I mean, that it is key. I mean, I wouldn't say it is a deal breaker, but it gives you an edge.
Yeah. I can definitely see that. I mean, we're working, to keep the boat as low profile as that makes sense, for a boat of that size. So, and try and keep some accommodations in it. But when you get up in that size, I've drawn walk-arounds. We've got some plans that we worked on recently of 77 feet. When you get up in that size, that the walk-around, you don't suffer as bad as you might think. You can still squeeze a lot down below because naturally you have a lot of loss, even in a standard convertible deck, just because you can't get out there where the flare lays out. Anyway, I'm super excited about that boat and what we kind of come up with.
I think it'll be one that divides opinions, but I think it'll be it's a cool idea, that's for sure.
Well, it kind of reminds me, there's a tool that we have that we literally use every day, and it's a fine saw. Y'all know the fine saw?
Yeah.
Like, I used to hate that thing. I was like, that is a dumb tool. That thing is stupid. It's not a traditional carpenter's tool. It's not a jigsaw. It's not a whatever, a skill saw or a sawzall or something. But it works, and it works amazing. And I can't even imagine not having that thing in my tool bag. And I swear, the walk-around boat, and maybe this walk-around convertible for guys who still do want to travel but still want this additional fishability. I think maybe there's a market there. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it won't be as big of a hit as we think. But I think we can do something to make it special and still make it a boat that people won't mind crossing over.
I think there's a market definitely for it. You can. It's between Palm Beach and the Key West. Yeah. There's plenty. The good thing about that is there's plenty of people that love to fish between Palm Beach and Key West. So.
Yeah. I mean, the walk around. I mean, Nick, you can attest to this. I mean, you actually use the entire boat. How many? It's just amazing. Like when I go and I run one of these boats, and I don't have a ton of time running them, but I get to run them before I turn them over, and there's so many different levels of fishing, bottom fishing, sword fishing, all of that stuff. Everything is easier. Everything is easier across the board. So I find it hard to believe that people won't love it, but naturally we don't really have a good example to go off of yet. So once we get this one done, we'll kind of see what happens.
Yeah. No, that's gonna be awesome.
But she's wide. We have worked hard to try and keep the accommodations in the boat, but still, keep it, moderately beam. But boat's a lot wider
right now.
The beam is 1911. 63, which is about a foot wider, a little over a foot wider. So we pooched her out, but the bottom is still the same. It's the same bottom we've been running, all along. So, and it might still get a little wider here. There might be another 3-4 inches added to the beam finish up the design side of things. So, when you look at from the back, it's got a heck of a look to it. Sure. Yeah. It'll be quite the departure. It's something exciting, right?
When's that one getting started?
That one will start sometime in January.
Nice.
The idea we'll get that.
And I'm guessing. So is the buyer for that? Is he a Florida guy?
That guy is a Florida guy. Yep, it will be another South Florida boat.
Perfect. That's awesome. Yeah, man, that's gonna be exciting.
Yep.
So what? So besides that, what else you got lined up for the new year coming up?
So there's a couple 63 walk-around convertibles in the mix. There's the 46 walk-around we just started. There's the 66, which is an enclosed express. So it's an enclosed hardtop express, full glass wraparound windshield. So let's see, back up. Hole 37 is the 46 walk-around. Hole 36 is a 66, and then you go into the couple 63 walk-around convertibles. And then we bounce up to 68 or 70 convertible from there, and then like another 68 convertible. So the days of us building the smaller boats is coming to an end, especially outboards. We're hole 34, which is the next boat we deliver, which will be right at the beginning of the year, is a 50-foot hardtop walk around. And it's powered with quad 600 Mercuries, and that's another boat actually heading down. We split its time between New Jersey and South Florida, and then later this year we'll also be wrapping up another 38 walk around with conventional inboards. That boat will be heading to Ocean. So the smaller boats are gonna slow down a little bit for us, and we're gonna focus on some bigger projects next few years.
Nice. Well, it sounds like you got your hands full. Is the team growing? You bringing on more guys?
We have grown, and we're looking to grow. So if anybody out there wants to go boats, please come. We need all the help we can get, and fully embody and embrace our team. We're young, we're energetic, we're fired up about what we're doing, and I like to keep that. We've got some really great seasoned guys. Our MEP team is really kicking butt across the board. Our finish carpenter's good. That team is doing really well. I mean, really, we're running well, through each division in the company. But I would obviously, with the demand and the boats we have to come, we probably need to grow another probably 15 to 20 positions over the next couple years if we can cultivate the right people who subscribe to the way we build boats, and they want to join our team. We sure would love to have them.
There you go. You heard it. They're hiring. That's awesome. What else? You got anything else, Anthony?
No, man. I found that very interesting and informative, and I wish you all the luck, Tim. I think those big walk-arounds are going to be pushing the envelope and what in people's minds, and I think it'll be really interesting. I'm sure that will be awesome.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate that. It's like I tell everybody, this is my dream. I'm sure your guys' dream was to do what you're doing, I hope, and every day that you get to go in the boat shop or do whatever you're doing and you love what you do, you're blessed. You're a blessed person, and I still love what I do, and excited we got these cool opportunities.
That's awesome. We're excited to see continue seeing what you roll out. I mean, I know social media loves it. I think you probably have more followers than probably every other boat builder out there. So I'm sure people are liking it.
Well, the smaller boats the smaller boats is what really pushes our followers up. We do build a little 24, and that's a good little boat for us. And there's a lot of following behind that little boat. But yeah, we need the followers, so we'll keep posting, and hopefully they keep liking the highlight reel.
All right.
Nice, man.
Awesome. If anybody listening, you guys have any questions, send them over to podcast@billfish.site. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, guys. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
That was awesome.